Good morning. It is the Drake
Toll Show.
Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. And this is the first day of the rest of our lives. It is 5 a.m. and 49 seconds Central Time. I come to you live from the French Quarter in New Orleans, which smells like a conglomerate of booze and throw up, but in an endearing way. It's like this vat where they have placed all sorts of, and I know the FCC has pretty strict laws about bodily functions and how they're discussed on the national radio, so I will tiptoe my way around this. But it's like they took everything that could possibly exist in both your upper and lower intestines and threw it on the ground. I threw it on the ground and then made a city out of it. But for some reason, I love that city. And live from New Orleans, it is the Drake Toll Show. I am Drake Toll from the Savannah Bananas organization of Locked On Big 12. That's why I'm in New Orleans. Tomorrow, the Savannah Bananas and Party Animals. What are those? I ain't never heard of them. The Savannah Bananas? Yes, those Savannah Bananas. They will sell out the Caesars Superdome. And who doesn't love Superdome? We'll be there with 70,000 of our closest friends. And so I bring you boots on the ground from the city that never sleeps, the Windy City, New Orleans, Louisiana. And I report live and can confirm, after talking with many sources here in the city and outside of the city, after my 11 hours of flying yesterday. Can we figure this? Can we figure it out, please? Can any airline figure? You know what happened? I go to the bag claim to get my bag off the conveyor belt, and it is wrapped in tape. Why the hell is my bag wrapped in tape? Why is it completely split open? Why is it 9 pieces? They had to tape my bag together. It's a perfectly good bag. You delayed me 11 hours. You delayed me into the sun, where I disintegrated, and then you took my bag with me and made sure that whole thing fell apart too. Can we fix flying in 2026, please? I learned over the course of the last 24 hours that it is true. I confirmed. Multiple sources. The Minnesota Vikings have finalized a 1-year deal, a veteran minimum deal with Kyler Murray. And now, the Minnesota Vikings, they want to contend. They want to contend with the presence of Justin Jefferson, with Super Bowl odds climbing for some reason, with there being more attention on Minnesota. They want to contend. They want to win now. Interesting. We'll start there and elsewhere yesterday. Miami of Ohio loses for the first time this college basketball season. They fall to UMass. That's a quad 4 loss. So they are now 31 and 1, I should say. They're now 34. What? Wow. 31 and 1. And we will all argue till we're blue in the face between now and Sunday whether or not they deserve an at-large bid into March Madness. I personally think, yes, you win 31 games, you lose just 1. I'm going to give you a mulligan. We watched TCU lose to start the year to Alcorn State, and now they're 11 games above 500, 11-7 in Big 12 play, the best conference in college basketball. They're going to get in. We've seen teams slip up, and we're going to let in a historically average bubble into March Madness. Miami of Ohio should be in that. Today you're going to see incredible college basketball, by the way, across the conference tournaments as these things went. A.J. DeBonsa broke the record in the Big 12 yesterday, scored 40 points in his first Big 12 tournament game. He then scored 27, then 26. He has the record in just 3 contests for most points scored in the Big 12 tournament. It took Duke a 1-point victory over Florida State and further injuries. The Blue Devils escaping 80-79 over the Noles. And then today, the matchups like Michigan and Ohio State, Kentucky and Florida as the Wildcats try to bolster their positioning for March Madness. A rematch between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. That's been a tightly contested matchup all season long. Illinois and Wisconsin in Chicago. Purdue and Nebraska. I have circled Nebraska as the number 11 team in the country. Purdue favored by 3.5. How about Iowa State and Arizona? Kirk Rivas. Milan Momcilovic, Taman Lipsy, Braden Burries, names to know. You asked bad. I'm still tracking whether or not Ole Miss. Now 14-19. They upset Texas. If they could win the SEC tournament and wiggle their way into March Madness. Oh, and don't blink. Clemson and Duke play right after Clemson upset North Carolina. Kansas takes on Houston with Darren Peterson, and Oklahoma could give Arkansas fits in the SEC tournament in Nashville. But wait, there's more. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did it again. Did the thing where he's really good at basketball. He eclipses Wilt Chamberlain for longest 20-point streak in NBA history. What a weird 24 hours for Wilt Chamberlain. First off, he is dead. No longer with us. Curtis? Second off, records continue to either be broken or contended with. Yeah. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 127 consecutive regular season games with at least 20 points. That breaks Wilt Chamberlain's record. This comes off the heels of some of the biggest news in the last 2 decades in the NBA. Probably the biggest story of the last 2 decades. Bam Adebayo scoring 83 points. It's all anyone can talk about. You remember where you were the night that happened. It's all the rave now. All the kids are trying it. The Bam Adebayo 83. Sarcasm. Don't apologize for it. It's still really cool. I just don't think anyone cared that much. No one cared like they cared for Kobe. And lastly, before we get to Kyler, play the hits. Before we get to Kyler, they're going to do it. The Big 12 will swap out its LED glass court, the TV court, for hardwood. We're done. We're done. What a terrible failed experiment. And incredible amounts of money lost. And after consultation with the 4 teams remaining, the 4 coaches, they said, please, don't make us play on the TV court anymore. Please just get us a regular basketball court. We know the TV court can show stats. We know it can show our headshots. We know it can show highlights. We don't care. We just want to play basketball. It is the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app, and Kyler Murray is a member of the Minnesota Vikings. 1 season, $1.3 million. And if you're a Cardinals fan, you're like, damn, man, hell yeah, dog. Kyler's gone. We're going to save a little money off his contract, too. Because we owe him $36.8 million. But if he signs with the team for $36.8 million, that means they take over that payment. Whatever the next team pays Kyler will be deducted from what the Cardinals owe him. Here's the problem. Is knowing that, similar to his case, no team in the league values Kyler more than $36.8 million. So what should you do in this instance? You should pay him the veteran minimum. You should pay him $1.3 million. And yes, Arizona, you will save $1.3 million. But the rest of that $36.8, $35.5 million, you're on the hook for. And that's exactly what happened. K1, the era in Arizona is over, and now he's going to the Vikings, who make this move to contend. Oh, and the Vikings have a free quarterback. The Cardinals are going to pay for Kyler Murray to not play for the Cardinals and instead let him play for the Minnesota Vikings. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Stu Kovacs produces today. Addie Bates is in New Orleans. She had an assorted amount of gummy bears. She did not understand what was in those gummy bears last night and could not make it to the show. I'm kidding. It was planned. She's on vacation today. She's also in New Orleans, though, which is she's somewhere in the streets among the filth and the vomit. But the filth and the vomit that we like. That's why we like New Orleans. That's what makes it fun. So it makes the bars neat. This move for Kyler and the Vikings, I said it's to contend. Why is it to contend? Because this is a cheap opportunity for Kevin O'Connell, who I trust to win games, who won games with Sam Darnold. I didn't trust a front office that had to fire the GM because Sam Darnold was the one that got away and immediately won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. I do trust Kevin O'Connell. I do think, namely the defense, that the Minnesota Vikings have built a roster that can contend. They are not a quarterback away. I don't think the quarterback's this just magic position is going to fix them. But at what, 8 and 9 last season? They were always floating around. They were always a team that was in contention to win any given Sunday or Thursday or Saturday in Scotland. There's a blueprint to this, though. The biggest reason for your optimism, if you're a Vikings fan, if you're listening from our affiliate in Memphis, you're from Germantown, Tennessee, and you thought, oh, interesting. Sports talk radio. This guy sounds cool. Correct. But if you're wondering, how will my Vikings do? Because you grew up in just outside of St. Paul. You spent half of your life between the time of birth and 18, kind of bouncing from St. Paul to Hudson, Wisconsin. But you've always been, a couple of Wisconsin folks that were Green Bay fans, but you've always been a Vikings fan. Now you're living in Germantown, Tennessee. You're listening to Westwood One Sports. Good morning. And you're wondering, can my Vikings contend? Kevin O'Connell, it's like he was the quarterback whisperer for Sam Darnold. You don't remember. It's vaguely like when Geno Smith was signed by the Jets. It gets 30 minutes of conversation, and then another story trumps it. It gets 30 minutes of talk one day on the radio on a Tuesday, and then everybody kind of forgets. That was Sam Darnold, the Vikings. Then he went to the playoffs. Then he became the winningest quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 years, now has a Super Bowl to show for it. So if Kevin O'Connell can jumpstart the career of Sam Darnold that had not jumpstarted itself yet before he got to Kevin O'Connell, what could he do to Kyler Murray? Who, by the way, I would have said 2 years ago, you would have asked me, said Drake, who has a higher ceiling, Kyler or Darnold? Easy. Kyler Murray, not Sam Darnold, the backup for the 49ers. What are you talking about, huh? O'Connell's system is designed to create easy throws, open windows. I don't think Kyler's had that since Oklahoma. I don't think Kyler's seen that or had an offensive guru, somebody in his back pocket to build trust in a simple offense since Lincoln Riley, who is a true quarterback whisperer. Kyler's best season, by the way, was 2020, paired with DeAndre Hopkins. So if you got Justin Jefferson, what does that do? D-Hop that year, 115 receptions, 1,400 yards. So we know how he operates with really good receivers. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. A cheap player, $35.5 million being paid by Arizona. The no-tag clause, too, if you want the secret sauce, if you want to walk in today to your office, to the round table, what do they call that? The break room? The break room. The round table sounds way cooler. And you need one thing to know how you're going to present this Kyler news to the rest of the world. Or somebody says, hey, did you hear the Kyler news? How you can be the ball knower. How they say, wow, Steve really knows about the NFL. You tell them about the no-tag clause. That's the secret sauce. Kyler knows if he balls out in Minnesota, he can hit the open market, Sam Darnold, in 2027, and he can demand a $200+ million contract. Because that's what quarterbacks do now. He is playing for his professional life, and if it goes well, if a motivated Kyler Murray is dangerous enough to win, if a motivated Kyler Murray goes 14-3 with the Vikings and throws for 3,900 yards and 36 touchdowns, and these are lofty numbers to ask Kyler Murray right now. But if that happens, he can stare down the barrel of a $200 million contract. Unlike the revolving door in Arizona, the offensive line is set in Minnesota. The coaching staff is set. I trust O'Connell. And now he's got a defense, a big nickel defense for support, a high-pressure scheme defense for support. We could be having a conversation about Kyler Murray in a year's time, in 2 years' time, that says this was the same blueprint as Sam Darnold. We could be having that conversation in less than a year's time to say he has the same blueprint as Sam Darnold. Did the Vikings screw it up again? Did the Vikings let him walk and go somewhere else? Or did they find their franchise quarterback in a guy named Kyler Murray? Oh, what's the name? Shoot. The Vikings, they drafted the quarterback a couple years ago. McCarthy? Yes. J.J. McCarthy. Why haven't we talked about him? Whoa. Hey, what about that guy? Whatever happened to that guy? Who knows, man? Who knows?
Oh, you mean 9?
I mean 9. I mean 9. We love 9. We back 9. Yeah, I'm sorry, J.J. McCarthy. We don't want to play with you anymore. We kind of forgot about your existence. Yeah, the Vikings have a top 10 pick in J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, they're only paying $1.3 million for Kyler. So let's say Kyler gets hurt 4 games in. Or let's say Kyler doesn't work out and McCarthy comes off the bench and he plays. Then, yeah, okay, hey, look, there's still an opportunity for McCarthy to win, to prove himself. The problem is, the biggest problem with that is, I don't think J.J. McCarthy's that good. And therein lies the issue, folks. I don't think that J.J. McCarthy is the answer for the Vikings. And I don't know, what would you have seen that's on the contrary, huh? I've seen Kyler play at a high level, at an elite level at times. I've not seen that from J.J. McCarthy. I don't even think that name deserves space in this conversation from what he's shown so far. The highlight, the attention should be on Kyler and the possibility of him winning in Minnesota. That's where I've turned my lonely eyes today. And I implore you to do the same. Quick break. And when we come back, Miami, Ohio was knocked off in the MAC tournament. Do they still get to dance? This is the Drake Toll Show.
This exact time last year, the Seahawks.
Good morning, everyone. We're doing a show today. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Curtis. Do you want to know something very embarrassing and very bad? For the first time ever in the history of national radio, I just did that entire segment on my MacBook Pro speaker. Yes, I was, 100%. Hey, we learn by doing.
The Jamestown Ferry.
You did.
It's not a hot day, January, like she
no one ever came after my mic there.
If she ever left me. A case of gone.
Yeah, that was
all
my
she carried. And she got on the Jamestown Ferry. And she said that gone without the ever be. I didn't think that she'd leave me after saying how much she need me. But the fact still remains, I'm sitting there all alone, missing the loving of my baby. Lord, it's about to drive me crazy.
Oh,
She
whoa.
was the sweetest piece of ever I've ever known.
That's never happened.
She just caught the Jamestown Ferry. It's not a hot day, January, like she said it'd be if she ever left me. A case of gone was all she carried as she got on the Jamestown Ferry. And she said that gone without the ever be. As I walk through that valley of honky-tonks and bars. I remember I said, hold me, comfort me with talk. She didn't cuss with every breath. She had a soothing southern drawl. Made me feel like a man through it all. She just caught the Jamestown ferry. It's not a hot day, January, like she said it'd be if she ever left me.
Touch yourself, touch yourself, touch yourself, touch yourself.
Bananas.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. What?
This is Westwood!
Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Stu Kovacs produces. Good morning. You know, I didn't know when I was a young chap growing up in Arkansas, Valonia, Arkansas, population 3,500. I think it's 4,500 now. It continues to grow. Look at us. Congrats. February 21st, Drake Toll Day in Valonia, Arkansas. Or maybe it's the 22nd. It's somewhere around there. I could never have known, growing up and listening to 103.7 The Buzz, riding Ma and Pop's truck, listening to the radio in the morning, that it could have become this, a career. That it could have become the rest of my life. That I could be now traveling the world with the Savannah Bananas, shaking my ass. Sorry, but my mom listens to this show. And that I would live out this childhood dream of being on the radio. You know the Toby Keith song, "Living on your radio. How do you like me now?" But when Westwood One calls, and it's Westwood One, you know, Kevin Harlan, Ian Eagle, Stu Kovacs, Curtis Poindexter. What? You have to pick up the phone. Of course, you pick up the phone. And then when you hear that Jim Rome is there, like, oh, I know that. I know that name. I know Jim Rome.
Why would I be talking about Baylor?
Or you hear that Bleck and Abdallah are there. Or you hear that Linnell Willingham has been hired at the company. And the myriad of hosts that we have. You want to work with that team. And now you know, in your car every day, you get to show up to the radio and hear something. When I listen to our network, when I listen to the rest of the hosts and the rest of the shows, I hear sports radio as it used to be. I catch glimpses of like, oh, I remember when it felt like this. And one thing that I love about our network is we don't have idiots. Sometimes, and I'm not naming any names, sometimes people are idiots. I will name names later in the show during our Idiot of the Day. But we don't have any idiots that believe the Miami of Ohio should not be. Well, before I do this, good morning, Stu. How are you?
I'm great today. How are you, Drake?
Well, you might not be great for long, Stu.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Do you think Miami of Ohio should still get into the at-large field of March Madness?
Yes, I certainly do. I think they had one hiccup along the way. I think they have proven with an undefeated record up until yesterday that they are one of the best 68 teams. If it was less than 68, maybe you can make the argument that they're not, but yeah, they should be in.
68's a lot. 68's a sixth of college basketball. They're in the upper sixth of our sport. Stu, it's good. Because if you would have said no, I would have had to call you an idiot. And my entire spiel about the network being full of ball knowers would have been shot.
Yep. Would have ruined it.
But here's the deal. Stu, can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Sure.
Can I role play as devil's advocate, please?
I love it.
We'll keep it PG. We'll keep the FCC out of this one. What if Miami of Ohio, an incredible story, did not make March Madness? Let me tell you a story. 0 quad 1 wins. For a team that is going to be pit against Cincinnati in the bubble conversation. And Cincinnati, by the way, beat Kansas on the road. You know, for teams out of the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, and Indiana, who's got obviously more quad 1 wins and a better resume. Heck, you know, but we've seen Baylor beat top 10 teams by virtue of how the Big 12 has played out this year. We've seen middle-of-the-pack ACC schools. You know, as much as I hate the dog and pony show that's come out of Auburn here, the idea of them getting in over Miami of Ohio, they're going to have a better resume. In a vacuum, if we took the records and threw the records out the window, then you're not considering Miami of Ohio for March Madness. Let's play devil's advocate for a bit. If you're Auburn, you don't want them in. If you're Indiana, you don't want them in. If you're Cincinnati, if you're Santa Clara, if you're a bubble team, you do not want Miami of Ohio in. They're a bid stealer because someone else from the MAC, let's say Ohio, wins the MAC tournament, or Toledo, whoever the hell is left in the MAC tournament, they win the MAC tournament, then that team has to get in, obviously. And Miami of Ohio would be a bid stealer. They would kick a bubble team out if they make it off the bubble and in. But we rely very heavily on net. And net is the NCAA evaluation tool. It's what net stands for. And it categorizes games into quadrants. Miami of Ohio, 0 quad 1 wins. The MAC was down overall this year. And two things, because you're going to push back. We've had the Miami of Ohio athletic director on this show. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but these are things to consider. I want you to consider two things. If you are a dissenter, if you do not want Miami of Ohio into March Madness, here's one point that goes in your favor. And that's that this is the NCAA tournament, not an orphanage. We like good stories. We don't need to reward good stories. We like when one shining moment, the Cinderella shoe fits, they're cutting down the nets. Like, that's awesome in theory. But it's not always reality. This isn't a committee building 68 teams via handout. This is a committee trying to compile the best 68 teams. Is Miami of Ohio better than Auburn? Surely if they played 10 times, Auburn would win 6. And I think Auburn's become insufferable. And I'm sorry to Auburn fans. I want to see no one else in March Madness less than the Auburn Tigers based on how the Pearl family has acted, based on how national networks have covered this, based on how that team has thrown up all over itself this season but still wants to go to March Madness. But my first point in favor of the Auburn Tigers is that this is not an orphanage. We're not giving free passes, handouts to Miami of Ohio or anybody else. And another big point I want you to know here is that when Miami of Ohio, or the people who dissent of their inclusion in March Madness tell you, well, their strength of schedule was bad, you keep getting the pushback. Supporters of the Red Hawks would tell you, well, yeah, their strength of schedule was bad because no one wanted to play them because they were so dangerous, because they were the number 175 team in net or in RPI, that nobody wanted to schedule Miami of Ohio, because if you schedule them on the road, well, then you're a Power 4 team and you might lose. If you schedule them at home, well, then you might lose. You're going to hurt your resume. Teams, to help their resume, only want to schedule other teams in the top 100 of the RPI, top 100 of net, or teams in the bottom 100. Those teams in the bottom 100, you're guaranteed to win. Those teams in the top 100, you're guaranteed either win or lose. Your resume is going to look better. 31-1 is shiny. And you can keep telling me that, oh, we didn't have a fair shake. But I almost want point number 2 to revert back to point number 1. Point number 2 is, I don't care. I don't care. We couldn't schedule anybody. That's cute. Yes, and I understand why it's a problem, and I get how scheduling's tough nowadays. But I can't take that fact and just put you into March Madness because of it. Scheduling's hard. It's not just Miami of Ohio. Scheduling's hard for everybody in the mid-major ranks. That's what you're telling me. Anybody who is in the RPI or net between spot 100 and 250, there are about 150 college basketball teams, maybe a tick more, that struggle to schedule non-conference games because the power teams don't want to lose. They don't want to get embarrassed. And so they're not alone in that category, and I don't like listening to that excuse all that much. I shouldn't put you in March Madness. I should not sway my support for your inclusion into March Madness because the games you didn't schedule, because of the games you couldn't schedule. Doesn't help your KenPom, doesn't help your BPI, doesn't help your net, does not help your RPI. And most predictive metrics have Miami of Ohio in the 60s or the 70s as far as how you rate teams in college basketball. Non-ball knowers are screaming at the radio right now saying, well, if they're in the 60s, there are 68 teams, get in, let them in, man. It makes sense. Well, no, because there are 30 conference tournaments, and teams like LaSalle or Long Island have to go to March Madness. They have to make up that 68. I would put Miami of Ohio in over Long Island, but Long Island won its conference tournament. Miami of Ohio did not. They actually lost in the MAC quarterfinals to UMass yesterday. And the committee places a very heavy emphasis on how teams play at the end of the season. And I don't know if you knew this about Miami of Ohio, but they haven't been that good at blowing teams out. They lost to a team that was 7-11 in the MAC, UMass. They lost 87-83. And Miami of Ohio, they've skated by the skin of their teeth. A 2-point win against Ohio, a 2-point win against Toledo, a 2-point win against Western Michigan, a 4-point loss to UMass. That's how their last 4 games have gone. But why the hell do I care? They're 31-1. Should that not speak for itself? Turn the damn devil's advocate thing off. Give up on that. No one likes that loser. Well, technically, Miami of Ohio, according to their net, should not be a March Madness team. If that is your take, if you're the Poindexter, sorry, Curtis, who walks into the office today, my bad, Curtis, that was a low blow.
I've never heard that before.
If you're the Poindexter who walks in the office today and says Miami of Ohio shouldn't get in, you're the reason. You're the reason you don't get invited to company functions outside of the office, and you barely get invited in the office. It's a miracle they still have you hired. There is a power of 31. 31 in the win column is the most in college basketball. You finish the regular season, which I value more than the postseason, undefeated. And the selection committee has never left a team that won at least 29 games in the regular season out. They're only the 5th team this century to enter the conference tournament undefeated, similar to Gonzaga or Wichita State. It makes the entire country turn their eyes to you. Same Gonzaga team that lost in the national championship to Baylor. Ha! Woo, strength of schedule, strength of schedule. Strength of schedule. Do you know how strength of schedule works? It measures how difficult it is for an average top 25 team to achieve a specific record. So, entering the UMass game, Miami they were ranked 21st in the country based on strength of record. What you have done in the context of who you are playing. 21st nationally. The bubble is incredibly weak. If you need a factor that takes other schools out, if you need to address other schools to be able to give Miami of Ohio cakes, the committee has 36 at-large spots. They need to find 36 teams unequivocally better than Miami of Ohio. Texas, Auburn, Indiana, sliding down the stretch, double-digit losses. High major teams with 13 losses, 14 losses that want to get in over 31-1, Miami of Ohio. Not only that, man, they have top-tier individual talent. Peter Suter, the MAC Player of the Year, is going to be maybe not a gymmer, but he gets to March Madness and he becomes America's darling. He becomes America's sweetheart. When the 11 seed Miami of Ohio knocks off A.J. DeBonsa and BYU. Probably won't happen, but it could. When the 14 seed Miami of Ohio, the 13 seed Miami of Ohio knocks off North Carolina in the first round of the NCAA tournament. That's when Peter Suter becomes a household name. Oh, their net ranking's low. Their wins above bubble is 33rd in the country. That is a metric that is a favorite of the current committee chairs and suggests they are safely in. That's one of the big metrics, the WAB. W-A-B, baby. 33rd in WAB. That's it. That's all you need. That's what you need to know. There's no need for a devil's advocate here. I was just being silly, jacking around. Miami of Ohio deserves to be in, and they will be in March Madness. Coming up, it's time for our biggest losers of the day. You are one of them if you think Miami of Ohio should be held out. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Chaos.
Walk away. 'Cause all I wanna do is
Got him!
I've got $100 smoking in my billfold. I know I ought to save it, but it's burning a hole right through my pocket and into my skin. Come Monday morning, I'll be broke.
Touch yourself.
It's finally Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday, I'm out of control. Forget the working blues and let the good times roll.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Kissin' 96.7. We play that every single Friday at the top of every hour when I was a young chap. Central Arkansas, out of Little Rock. Finally Friday, George Jones brings us into 5 a.m., 44 minutes and 39 seconds Central Time. Drake Toll with you on the Drake Toll Show from the Savannah Bananas organization, locked on Big 12, live from New Orleans, just ahead of the French Quarter. Stu Kovacs produces, Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Good morning. Whether you're listening on the Odyssey app, SiriusXM app, the Westwood One app, God bless, there's so many places to listen. Wherever you're joining from, Spring, Texas, it's your favorite. You got up early today. You decided to go work out because it's what you do. You've held on to your New Year's resolution. You live in Spring, Texas. You typically listen to the local AM station out of Houston, talking all things sports. And on your way to the gym, you pop on the Drake Toll Show, and you learn things. And you learn how to, yourself, avoid being the biggest loser. It's time for our biggest losers of the day. If you feel as though a loved one or someone in your life is a big loser, you can call or text the show 310-840-4910. We've been getting a lot of mother-in-law reports here recently. The occasional spouse report. File any and all biggest loser grievances. 310-840-4910. The first biggest loser of the day. Miami of Ohio. I'm not going to leave them alone. If there is the piece of this, if you win your conference tournament, then no one's talking about leaving you out. They're considering you still one of the best teams in college basketball, and Miami of Ohio did not win its conference tournament. Here was the final call from a historic loss to UMass in the MAC conference tournament.
Skaljack, 3 seconds left, fired a three. How about UMass? They have taken down the top seed, Miami Redhawks.
Oops. Didn't mean to lose that one. You become a biggest loser of the day because all you had to do was win at least the first round. And then you would have been easily in. If you lose to Toledo or Ohio, fine, whatever. You lost to UMass. You can't do that. Let them in, yes, but you can't do that. Also a biggest loser today, Mark DeRosa. And MLB Network is probably more of the biggest loser for this one. Mark DeRosa is like idiot of the day category. He's going to be embarrassed for the rest of the World Baseball Classic. This is the manager of Team USA. He's going to be embarrassed because he did not know. It's pretty obvious he did not know that Team USA had not clinched a spot in the bracket. They had not made it out of pool play in the World Baseball Classic. If your daughter plays softball at the travel ball level, hi, Dad, good morning, or your son plays travel baseball, you know that there's pool play and then the bracket. In the case of the World Baseball Classic, you can either make it out of pool play to the bracket, to the final 8 teams, or be eliminated after your round-robin pool. In the USA's case, they thought that a 3-1 record in their round-robin pool would get them into the field of 8, which it did. But they decided to take off the game against Italy. They lost to the Italians 8-6, and Mark DeRosa, the manager for the U.S., was like, yeah, it's fine. We lost, but our guys were hungover today after a win against Mexico, and no one's really counting. No one cares because we know we're going to the quarterfinals. We're locked in. To which a reporter said, hey, Mark, you're actually not locked in. You can go 3-1 and have a 3-way tie with Mexico and Italy and miss the quarterfinals. He didn't know that. He said there was a miscalculation. Ooh! I mean, come on. If you're a mom or a dad and you've been to a single travel ball tournament, you know this. You know how this works. Mark DeRosa did not. But the biggest loser here is the MLB Network for taking down the video of Mark DeRosa incorrectly claiming Team USA had already clinched a quarterfinal spot in the WBC. This one comes from awful announcing. Mark DeRosa works for MLB Network. So they saw, one of our employees did a really stupid thing. What if we just didn't post that video on our site? Well, sir, we already posted it. Can we unpost that video? Well, sir, they'll probably notice that. Well, maybe they won't. We did. Nice job, Mark DeRosa. Nice job, MLB Network, trying to work in tandem to cover themselves. Another biggest loser today. The Big 12 for their LED glass court. Here's what Bill Self had to say on having a TV screen as the basketball court.
I don't think it's quite as attraction that what guys and are used to and what they probably play on back home. But I don't think, and we played in floors that didn't quite have the same traction before, and you know, get through it just fine. I do think that if the traction is good, then I think it's a good deal. If the traction is bad and takes away from the quality of play, then obviously it's not a good deal no matter how many lights you have underneath it.
Yeah. I mean, pretty well put. If the TV that they're using as a basketball court is safe to play on and feels exactly like a regular basketball court, and we're not slipping around, then fine. If it doesn't affect the game, if it does nothing different to the game, then use your silly little TV. The problem is, dudes are sliding everywhere. The competition has been hampered. Players are complaining about migraines because of the lights coming off the court. I mean, I would too. I don't want to play basketball on a bunch of glow sticks that have been strung together, LED glow sticks. I'd be slipping and sliding. Hey, hey, out where the rainbows walk, or whatever the lyrics are. That's the case of the Big 12 tournament, and the Big 12 is a biggest loser for the court that they have now replaced. What if we spent millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars? They could have been spent anywhere else. They could have been doing anything else, and we buy a TV for a court. Surely that'll be a good idea, right? Surely Bill Self will love that. The players will love that. Well, there's no traction. That's fine. They'll get over it. They didn't. And now the Big 12, after spending all of that money, they played the entire women's tournament on the TV, on the glass court. But the four coaches came together with their players and said, we want to play the semifinal and final on a regular basketball court. Please. We can't keep doing this. Money out the window for a conference that needs all the money it can get. Embarrassing for the Big 12. They're just doing these moves to try to compete with the SEC and the Big 10, try to stay relevant. And man, that's not how you do it. This is not how you do it, Brett Yormark. I love him as the commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. I'm a Big 12 guy. This is not how you do it. Biggest loser. The Titans? Man, this New Jersey combo is rough. This New Jersey thing they're doing is rough. All baby blues. The metallic tee, their new logo, looks like the Captain America logo, and it looks pretty stupid. It's this weird, like, jackhammer tee thing that they got going on. Red circle, baby blue circle, Columbia blue. Just not really, like, oof. And for that reason, I'm out. I'm not sure what Tennessee was going for here, but I'm out.
They were going for bad Oilers jerseys.
Bad Oilers jerseys they've successfully done. Congratulations, Tennessee. If that was your goal, you nailed it. Final idiot of the day. Chase Parham tweets, Trinidad Chambliss amended filing says the QB lost a potential EA Sport video game cover deal because of his eligibility fight. He was one of 3 finalists and perhaps the favorite player, but EA pulled out over the risk. Chambliss is seeking damages and possible punitive damages. Interesting. So Chambliss would have been the cover of EA's new video game, football game. But now he's not. until he wants to sue them, because he's not. Everybody's suing everybody, man. What does this world come to in college football? Presented by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Learn more. Get started today with Robinhood at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Those are our biggest losers today. There were many, and you, thankfully, were not one of them. Unless you're Brett Yormark and you're listening right now from Kansas City. Thanks for fixing the cord, I guess. Stu Kovacs produces. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. When we return, our obituaries and the Quickie. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
I've got $100 smoking in my billfold. I know I ought to save it, but it's burning a hole right through my pocket and into my skin. Come Monday morning, I'll be bright
Express yourself.
And I can't find one good reason for staying. Maybe my leaving would be the best for you. But these rose-colored glasses that I'm looking through show only the beauty, 'cause they hide all the truth.
It is the Drake Toll Show.
And they let me hold
Drake
on
Toll with you.
to the good times.
Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app.
The ones I used
Ha,
to
that just fills my soul.
hear you.
John Conley
And they keep me
on the Drake Toll Show, rose-colored glasses.
so cheated
Live from the streets of New Orleans.
when reflected.
From the Savannah Bananas organization and Locked On Big 12, Drake Toll with you. Curtis Poindexter runs the board in Santa Monica, California. Stu Kovacs produces today in place of Addie Bates, who is enjoying the debauchery of New Orleans, which we gladly accept and fully embrace.
Let's just hope she
Automatic.
doesn't fall over this time again.
She did fall last time. She got incredibly bruised. To the point where, and I didn't mean it, there's something so. This is interesting. Like when you work in sports, okay, and it's a glamorous job. I'm convinced that we have the best job in the world. And Stu, I'll cue you in for this. Well, everybody, we can all gather together for this conversation. I'm convinced that I've donned the fur coat for the rest of the show. Super cold in the hotel room. The glasses are a fun addition. In working
they
in sports
rose-colored?
media, they are vaguely rose-colored. Curtis, had you heard that song before?
Oh yeah, I've heard that song before.
That's a banger. Stu, you a big John Conley guy?
I have heard it before too. Yes.
Yeah, welcome to the show. So, in sports media, we work pretty crazy hours usually. Coolest job in the world. But you find yourself working on a Saturday from 9 a.m. until 1 a.m. That happens. And over time, you build rapport with other sports analysts, coworkers, like in this case, Addie Bates. And the filter comes off pretty quickly. So one day, Stu, Addie walks into the show after Mardi Gras, and her face was just jacked up. She had fallen pretty hard on the streets of New Orleans and had gotten bruises and scabs. Can I say scabs? Or what's the FCC ruling on scabs?
I think we're fine.
Okay, we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
call it
think
clear
that's
for now.
fine.
She had really done a number to herself. And so I think the first thing I said when she popped on camera in segment 2 was like, what happened to your face? And I didn't realize how
You never say any of that
aggressive.
to a girl.
Yeah, how aggressive that question is. You just forget in sport. You're like, we work crazy hours. You're like, you're all just one of the guys, one of the gals, and then you're like, that's kind of mean, actually. Stu, I'm not going to ask you what happened to your face. Your face looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You remain unbruised. Curtis, you look great as well. Nice hair today.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's time for our obituaries. Who is dead today? The first thing dead today is Dwight Howard's career. This is from Bleacher Report. Dwight Howard is retiring. What? I thought Dwight Howard had been retired. What? But no. In an emotional Instagram post yesterday, Dwight Howard said, "I'm retired." Okay. I didn't know that you weren't already retired, Dwight. My Dwight Howard story. I've been around him one time when I was in college, actually. This is before I was even working in real or big-time sports media. I was in college, and a basketball player on the Baylor women's team was dating Dwight Howard. He's probably 35 at this point. She was 21, which, whatever, man. Okay, 17 in Texas. That's whatever. So they're dating, and Dwight would just show up to her basketball games. So he's like, hey, Dwight Howard, I'm Drake. I'm a student here. Can we get a picture? That's back when I took pictures with when you see a famous person, you're like, oh, look. Or you would take a picture from a distance. I don't know if I ever got one with him. And I always found it really weird that Dwight Howard was dating, at 35, a Baylor women's basketball player. It didn't last very long. He's just a strange guy. Dwight Howard posts that he woke up on the 12th of this month, figured it was time to move on from Superman. I'm no superhuman. I cry, I struggle, I feel like everyone else. Through the lies, the media storm, the hate, I still show love and smile through the storm. He capitalized the first letters of smile through the storm. Not really sure why. Now I'm taking off the cape, retiring from all basketball to pour into my family, give back to communities worldwide. I know some of you think I thought he already retired, but I didn't. The game retired me. I still had more to give. Played professionally for 20 years. Thank you all to my fans. Thank you to the naysayers, the haters, the snakes. I'm not a naysayer. I'm not a hater. I'm not a snake. I'm just telling you what Dwight Howard was doing at my local college campus. It's not right to say preying. I don't think he was preying on the women, but he was there to date them when he was 35. I'm not 35. I'm actually 10 years away from being 35. But I don't think when I am 35, it will feel normal to date a 21-year-old. I can't speak on that. I haven't done it yet. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe one day I'll give it a whirl. But I'm not a naysayer. I'm just telling you my Dwight Howard story. Dwight said since I didn't have a chance to get a farewell tour, I just want to say goodbye. I smiled doing what I love. Okay. So Dwight Howard's career, done. Second obituary today. Power 4 players playing 4 years. Dead. Will never happen again. Ryan Glassspiegel, cool name, at Sports Report on Twitter, tweets, Big Ten Network announcers just said there are only 22 Power 4 conference seniors in America who have been at the same school for 4 years. Dead and gone are the days of buying your favorite player's jersey when they're a freshman because you're so excited to see them grow up through the program, because they're so excited to see what they provide for your school for the next 4 years. That doesn't happen. We don't really do that. 22 seniors that have been at their school for 4 years. That's a bad number. Across the country, there are 68 Power 4 schools. 22 seniors. Our final 2 obituaries. Tony Dungy's TV career. Sad, man. Was he a great analyst? I could go without it, but he's a great guy. Really, really good dude. NBC's a big network. He was there for a while, gave it a lot of time, and I enjoyed watching Tony Dungy. I enjoyed it. Thank you for your service, Tony Dungy. Finally, dead today, Alvin Kamara's career. Yeah. Here's what Kellen Moore, his head coach, had to say about Alvin Kamara considering retirement.
Yeah, we like to go through that process, certainly, and so we feel obviously we know Alvin means a lot to us. Again, this is we're 3 days in this thing. We've signed Travis, and we'll go through that process.
Is he considering retirement?
I'm not gonna get into all that stuff. I haven't had those conversations in any way.
Oops. It seems as though after the ETN signing, Alvin Kamara's time in St. Louis. What? New Orleans. I'm literally in New Orleans. Why would it be St. Louis? They're the same thing in my brain sometimes, and that does not make any sense. But it's how it's always been. Kamara's time in New Orleans, where I currently reside, could be, and probably is, done. Those are our obituaries. Time for the Quickie top 5 headlines in all of sports. Stu Kovacs reads them. Greg Toll has a minute to respond to each. Stu, what's going on?
I'm good. All right. The first one here, the Vikings, they bolster their quarterback room by signing former first overall pick Kyler Murray.
He was the first overall pick. The streets forget Kyler was the first overall pick. This is a move where the Vikings can't really lose. I don't think anyone has the expectation that they are a Super Bowl team. If they make the postseason, I think Vikings fans should be happy. And they get a free quarterback, $1.3 million. Somebody else is paying for Kyler Murray to play for the Minnesota Vikings. That is the news. That is the good news that you want to hear if you're a Vikings fan. That is the good news that you want to hear if you're a Vikings, a member of the Vikings front office. This move for Kyler Murray is one that is a risk due to his health issues. Do you have to go to J.J. McCarthy because he gets 4 games into the year and due to some random injury you've never heard of, Kyler Murray's out the rest of the year? A guy who didn't play well in the 5 games he did play in last season. A soft benching late in the year for Jacoby Brissett when it felt like Kyler was healthy. Like, is that the guy that goes in and gets revived like Sam Darnold in Minnesota? I just don't think he has to be. I think the Vikings can burn a year. If it works, awesome. You may have found your franchise quarterback. Don't let him walk like you did Darnold. If you didn't find your quarterback, that's okay. I think this is a neutral move, and I'm fine with it. It's a minute.
All right. SGA, the latest NBA player to make history, breaking Wilt Chamberlain's record for 20 or more points in 127 straight games.
Yeah, weird week for Wilt Chamberlain. Seeing records broken, or, well, one, because he's dead, so he's got that to reckon with. So, strange week from that standpoint. Second, you have Bam Adebayo creeping up on your 100 points. And again, dead Wilt Chamberlain's going, who the hell's Bam Adebayo? Yes, dead Wilt Chamberlain. We have much to explain to you about that one. And now SGA breaks his consecutive game scoring 20-plus point streak with 127 of them. SGA, MVP. He is, this is going to sound weird, but the star power that Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, those guys carrying the top of the league, Shaq, like appointment television, SGA doesn't get that love. It could be because of his small market, because of the fact he's in a small market. But Mahomes is in a small market, and that's working out fine. SGA does not get enough love. Let's do a case study on that, Stu. You and I will put our brains together. We'll go to JSTOR. We'll go to the Library of Congress. We'll figure that one out. That's a minute.
Sounds fun. Falcons edge rusher James Pierce Jr. officially charged with 3 felonies and a misdemeanor.
Which, in NFL terms, means that you're out for 6 months. You come back and go to the Pro Bowl. So that's good. It's good news for James Pierce Jr. is that he only got 3 felonies. Take some time off. Go to rehab. And then work your way back to the NFL. That's the thing, is he is young enough. And man, if we were hosting a show about politics, if this was an arts and life show, then I could give you a true take about how this is a guy who doesn't deserve to be in the public sphere. He doesn't deserve to be in the spotlight. This is a guy who needs to get his life on track. But you know what, Stu? I host a sports show. And on this sports show, here's what I've learned. If you, allegedly, strangle your live-in chef, then yeah, man, just keep playing in the NFL. If you, allegedly, hit a child, well, we need good running backs in this world. So you know what, James Pierce Jr., you're young enough. You drove really fast and did domestic violence. But both of those things, that's like the NFL cocktail. That's basically what you have to do to get into the NFL, is either hit someone or drive a car really, really fast.
Here we go
I'm
again.
interested to see what the actual ramifications that come from this are, because I don't see them being that harsh based on what the NFL has done in the past. We'll see. That's a minute.
All right. Miami of Ohio, they dropped their first game of the season, losing to UMass in the MAC tournament.
Yeah, it's Cinderella everyone's been following. It's weird to follow a Cinderella during the regular season, but Miami of Ohio built that based on them being undefeated. And with their first loss coming to UMass, that's the hard part. It's a quad 3, quad 4 loss. And a lot of these bubble teams aren't going to have that, or their quad 3 loss will have come, 4 months ago. So what have you done for me lately? They put themselves in a tougher spot. Do they still deserve to be in? Absolutely. But they have put themselves in a much tougher spot. 31 wins. No team that's won at least 29 games has missed the NCAA tournament as an at-large, so they should not miss it. Their strength of record metric is still top 25. They're 21st in strength of record nationally. There's a pretty weak bubble this year. They should make it in over Texas. They should make it in over Auburn. They should be in over Indiana. They have the MAC Player of the Year in Peter Suter. The Miami of Ohio Redhawks should still squarely be in March Madness. Now they're a 13 seed, and they played North Carolina round 1. If you beat North Carolina, America's still talking about you. If you lose to North Carolina, man, we gave you North Carolina. This was your shot to beat a banged-up team in March Madness and go on a run. So now it's up to the committee. It's up to the committee to do the right thing. And next Thursday, we're previewing Miami of Ohio and North Carolina in March Madness.
All right, last one here. The Lakers jump up to the 3 seed in the West behind Luka's 51-point near triple-double.
Yeah, the Nuggets are near decimated, it feels like. The Thunder are dealing with their own injury issues and resting guys and load management right now. This is a Lakers team playing its best basketball at the right time. And on a night where the Nuggets knock off the Spurs, which that was a surprising outcome, by the way, in San Antonio, the Lakers assert themselves, 142-130, by the way, over the Bulls, assert themselves as one of the hotter teams, first in their division, one of the hotter teams in the NBA. And Luka is the reason why. The last time Luka did not lead the team in scoring was February 12th. The last time he did not lead the team in a single game in scoring. You would think that maybe Reeves had popped in there. Maybe LeBron, when he was still playing, had a couple. Maybe LeBron was in there. Nope. It's been Luka for the last month. In every game this team has played, he's been their leading scorer. LeBron with 18 last night. Luka with 51. Austin Reeves with 30. If they're healthy, the Lakers are healthy, dare I say, in LeBron's final year in L.A., they could contend with San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Denver to win the West. That's a minute. That's a minute? Is that? Yeah, it's a minute. Stu, thanks so much. That is the Quickie. Top 5 headlines in all the sports. I had 5 minutes to respond. A minute each, and I did. Coming up, the Ravens. Are they the favorite to win the Super Bowl with Trey Hendrickson? 310-840-4910. Call or text 310-840-4910. That is the question, and we will answer it. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Trouble all my day. I bid farewell to old Kentucky, the place where I was born and raised, the place where he was born and raised. I've been in trouble. No pleasure here on earth I find. For in this world I'm bound to ramble. I had no friends to help me now. He has no friends to help me now.
It is the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Stu Kovacs produces. 6 a.m., 24 minutes and 14 seconds Eastern time right now, just inside the French Quarter in New Orleans. And I am brewing myself. Brewing? I'm not sure if brewing's the right word for this. I am crafting a glass of tea, but via the coffee maker. What? What'd you say?
Steeping?
Oh, I'm steeping some tea. I think I broke the coffee maker. It's only spitting out like 4 drops at a time. Is that how coffee makers work? How does that?
I don't think so.
I've left
something sounds wrong
I put
with
my cup underneath where the water exits the maker, and now it's pouring hot water into my cup. But I'm not. Oh, now it's aggressively screaming. I just don't know how to work these things. Stu, you're the producer. You're supposed to know things. Any word on using a coffee maker to make your tea?
I don't think I have. No, I have like one of those like teapots that you like that heats up, like not on the stove, like electric
kettle.
Ones.
Is that what you're looking for here?
A kettle, but like not one you put on the stovetop, right? Like one that's like electric, has like its little.
You have an electric kettle?
Yeah.
Man, I knew you were a guy after my own heart. It's like my favorite appliance that I own is the electric kettle. I have it in my shed, in the electric shed. The kettle sits next to my desk, and while I host this show every day, I make a pot of electric kettle, and I tee myself up.
It's great. That and the air fryer, my two, I feel like most prized appliances, if you will. I
have not graduated to air fryer yet. I have one. I haven't learned how to use it. I'm a Blackstone guy.
That's fair. That's a good one to have.
I'm a big Blackstone guy. I'm all in on that. Now I've got to figure out how to get the tea. Here we go. And what they don't do in hotels is make the cups to where they, the cup is so hot I can't even hold it. I just have problems today. It's Friday. We have to be happy. Happy, joy. It's a good time. It's Friday. March Madness is almost upon us. This is the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. And this is it's the most wonderful time of the year. March Madness, there's something about it. But also the National Football League and the storylines that continue to permeate from free agency, where those pesky Baltimore Ravens, what did they say? They said, hey, what if we don't take Max Crosby? We get to keep our first-round draft picks, and we get Trey Hendrickson. What if we come to find out Trey Hendrickson's going to be a little bit easier to acquire than we first imagined, and we don't need Max Crosby? But here's what we'll do. We'll tell the world. We'll fool them all. We'll tell them that we wanted Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson, and that we're devastated that we can't get Max Crosby, and they'll believe it. We did not. And now the Ravens have their 14th pick in the draft back. Now they could go bolster their roster with some young talent for Lamar Jackson to work with. You lost Isaiah Likely. You lost Charlie Kohler. Can you get a new tight end? Do you get a tight end that early? Do you get some help defensively? What do they do? Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN said, here's what the Ravens should do, can do, will do with pick 14.
Even with signing Trey Hendrickson, I think it's still the pass rush. It's the edge. And here's why. When you go back over the last couple of years, Odafe Owe, amongst others, Nabi Madubuike getting hurt, they have struggled to put pressure on the quarterback, which has been the backbone of a lot of great Ravens teams. So where they are in the first round, you guys know it's going to be the Keldrick Fox of the world, the Zion Youngs, Keen Messidors. There should be a good pass rusher. And look, one of the things about Trey Hendrickson is he'll be 32 during the season. So to me, we could get another young pass rusher to go with Hendrickson. We're better than we were a year ago.
Romello Height could be a name to think about there too. Romello Height's on the board at 14. Texas Tech kid is going to wreak havoc pretty early on in his NFL career. You have a 22-year-old and a 32-year-old rushing the passer in the National Football League for the Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, Joe Burrow. Can we take a second, please, to remember how we all felt on Monday, Tuesday, when the news broke that Crosby's trade had fallen through? I don't want to recover from how I reacted to that, the visceral reaction that I had sitting at my kitchen table eating hibachi steak that I cooked on the Blackstone with my current girlfriend. And it was just such a peaceful night that turned into a chaotic hodgepodge of mess when the Crosby trade fell through, ultimately due to a failed physical, which isn't a real thing, by the way. There is no such thing as a failed physical. The only thing that I can think of for failed physical would be, think back with me, 2021 Baylor basketball. Why would we be talking about Baylor? Curtis?
Why would I be talking about Baylor?
Thank you. Delayed, but there. Why would I be talking about Baylor? Jared Butler was an Alabama basketball player whose heart was too big. He had a heart condition. So he failed his physical at Alabama and had to go to Baylor. He ended up going to Baylor. Scott Drew said, hey, we've dealt with a heart condition before. We'll take you, Jared Butler. Baylor wins the national championship behind Macy Teague, Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell in 2021. That's a failed physical. Hey, this guy's heart has a serious problem. His aorta is closing. Yeah, I got you. A failed physical is not, the guy with a torn meniscus who had surgery for his torn meniscus, his meniscus is not repaired yet. Well, yeah. He just had surgery on it. What do you mean failed physical? You knew this coming in, Baltimore. I don't want us to lose the allure, the luster of what that moment felt like this week. And now the Ravens, with that falling through, have 14. Is it Romello Height? Is it someone to bolster the defense? Or is it what Matt Miller said on ESPN, that the Ravens should get something for Lamar? Here's Matt Miller.
Let's give Lamar Jackson some help. You have an elite quarterback. You have an MVP quarterback. Let's give him some help. We know Zay Flowers is a good option, but this would be such a fun spot for Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon. They lose Isaiah Likely in free agency. He's out the door. Mark Andrews is getting older and is more of now, at this point in his career, more of an inline player, someone who's not going to give you a lot of that yards after catch ability like Sadiq will bring to the table. We saw him run a 4.39 in the 40-yard dash. We were at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis a couple weeks ago. He is the best tight end in this class. He is an elite mover with the ball in his hands, and his touchdown production in college showed me that he can be that red zone threat that the Ravens really used Isaiah Likely as the last 2 years.
If you want a McConkey, kind of just a freak athlete, do-it-all guy, then you want Sadiq from Oregon. He was the best tight end in all of college football. Now, I think you could get a Michael Trigg. He was the Baylor tight end with value. He was a top 3 tight end in the league with value come later in the draft. But Sadiq, he's a freak. He is an instant replacement for Isaiah Likely, who could be better than Isaiah Likely. But can we for a moment just stop and realize from the starting center to 2 of your 3 tight ends what Baltimore has lost this free agency? Yes, you gained Trey Hendrickson, but what else? I don't think that 14th overall pick can save this franchise or make them a true contender in I do not. And we've had Ravens insiders on this show who've said the same thing. I do not see this current version of the Baltimore Ravens as a contender in the AFC. I do not consider them Super Bowl caliber in 2026. And this offseason, to me, has been a series of structural collapses, even including the Max Crosby trade falling through and the negative publicity you get from the National Football League because of that, the negative publicity you get, the rap you get from other GMs and owners. For the first time in 2 decades, John Harbaugh's not on the sideline. Hey, you have 5 seconds. Who's the head coach? Who's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens? 5, 4, 3, 2. Jesse Minter. Did you know that, though? Because it was John Harbaugh. I can tell you this. Someone who vaguely follows the NFL didn't know that Mike McDonald was the head coach of the Seahawks until week 14 last year. I think it was Jimmy Fallon, did a man on the street. Hey, walk around Seattle and ask every person, who is this man? They couldn't tell you. Head coaches are becoming less and less like stars and more tactical. McDonald would be an example of that. Minter is a rising star, but he hasn't been an NFL head coach. From coordinator to CEO, can he lead a playoff run? No, Todd Monken, Zachary Orr. Is Declan Doyle your guy? Or are we looking for a slow start under a new head coach and Lamar, as Lamar tries to figure it out, this new regime in Baltimore? There's a black hole on the offensive line, by the way. There's a salary cap squeeze, and a lot of it is because of Lamar Jackson's cap hit. It's astronomical. Even with the restructures, astronomical. And you lost Tyler Linderbaum. Your Pro Bowl center is gone. So do you replace him with the backup Corey Bullock? Do you get a mid-round rookie? A big downgrade? Your plan B from Crosby is the Trey Hendrickson $112 million deal. 32 years old? Muscle surgery that cost him most of 2025? There's a lack of depth on the defense. And, the finances just aren't adding up. And Lamar, his back, his ankle, he's a guy, he is a quarterback who gets hit a lot, who runs a lot, who is active. He wasn't that healthy in 2025. He wasn't 100% in 2025. Can he replicate his MVP numbers with a new head coach? Can he replicate it losing stars like Isaiah Likely? Can he replicate it with a new offensive coordinator, a new head coach? I have too many. You lost the number one punter in the NFL, too. If you just want to, special teams contributors, Ardarius Washington. You lost guys who we might not think of, who we might not pinpoint, that are going to make the Ravens worse next year. And yet I turn my TV on, I quad box it, and on national networks, people are telling me, yeah, the Baltimore Ravens are Super Bowl favorites right now. I've got them winning the Super Bowl. How? Why? They're only losing players. And the one guy they picked up, Trey Hendrickson, is so damn expensive. And also hurt. Sure. All right. Great. Good luck, Baltimore. Good morning, Baltimore. You got your pick back. Coming up, Matt McCall, college hoops analyst for NBC Sports, former college basketball coach, joins the Drake Toll Show to talk March Madness and the bubble. 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This exact time last year.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Nick Costos with You Better You Bet. Bleck and Abdallah, Jim Rome will follow. And you know what? Every single one of us will talk about the exact same issue. And that is a little school that 4 months ago you did not care about. It's a little school that 4 months ago you did not know anything about their basketball team. And now it's all reversed. Now it's all changed. It is Miami of Ohio, who lost its first game yesterday. They didn't just lose, though. They lost to UMass, a team that's below 500 in the MAC, and a team that hurts, obviously, the resume of a squad in Miami of Ohio that was formerly undefeated. Now on the show, joining the Drake Toll Show, from Field of 68, NBC Sports, SiriusXM, CBS Sports HQ, Matt McCall makes his return to the program. And Matt, that is the question. It's been a massive topic of conversation today. Miami of Ohio, now it becomes more complicated. What do we do with them in selecting our at-large bids for the Field of 68?
You know, it's interesting because for me, I actually thought when they got to the conference tournament, they would just cut it loose and not feel the same amount of pressure that they felt in the regular season, because we saw all those close games they were playing at the end of the regular season, and it was opposite. Well, I shouldn't say it was the opposite, because they had an 8-point lead in the second half, and it's almost like they took a breath and said, we're good, we're okay. And UMass took advantage of that. UMass's size and physicality up front caused them some serious problems. So from that standpoint, I do still think they should be in the field. 31-0, undefeated in the regular season. They should be in the field. But if they run into a team that's big and physical up front, they're going to have some issues, because UMass dominated up front. They dominated the points in the paint. They scored over 50 points in the paint, and that caused this team a lot of problems. So they got to sweat it out a little bit. I do still think they should be in the field. What a matchup it would be if we could get Miami of Ohio versus Auburn in Dayton, win, and you get to the main dance.
Yeah, that would be the storylines that would surround that one, the Pearl family versus Miami of Ohio as the Red Hawks march toward possible glory. For UMass, I think a lot of people have looked at the UMass win here, a place that you coached, and they haven't given the credit to UMass. The story has been pointed to specifically Miami of Ohio. Give me context on where UMass is as a program, and a win like this, does that bolster you, or is this just a blip on the map for the Minutemen?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a huge win for Frank Martin, for his program. A guy that took South Carolina to the Final Four back in 2016 or 2017. So obviously being able to respond from that and win today to get to a conference tournament final would be huge for the program. I mean, it's a big deal. Leaving the Atlantic 10, going to the MAC. I mean, it's a head scratcher at times. I understand, from a standpoint of trying to get football going, which has been a huge struggle for the university. So it's great. It's great for the program. It's great for Frank Martin. As look, it's a hard job. I mean, it is a hard job. And really, when you look at it, there's been one guy that has sustained success there. That's the guy that's calling the ball plays for the Arkansas Razorbacks right now.
Yep.
So, you'd hope a win like this can get it going in the right direction.
Yeah, John Calipari, one of those guys that has won everywhere, anywhere, and everywhere. Again, appreciate the time so early in the morning to Matt McCall for joining the Drake Toll Show here and hitting on storylines across college basketball as we continue our trek to March, our trek to the tournament. And Duke is, man, Matt, if I had to pinpoint the best team in college basketball right now, I would struggle not to say Arizona, Florida, Michigan's in that conversation. From an injury standpoint, from the standpoint of how Duke is playing right now, how confident are you in the Blue Devils compared to those other three teams, namely the Florida Gators, that I think are playing the best basketball in the country?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Duke, they're not in that same category without those two guys. I mean, you saw it yesterday versus Florida State. They found a way to win the game. which this year it's the most important thing this time of year. You have to find ways to win games. Even if it's ugly, if it's not pretty, find a way to win the game. And that's what they did, but they're not, without those two guys, they're just not in the same category. They're not. So Foster, see him on the bench with the boot on his foot. You're sitting there going, man, is he going to be back at all this season? I think it's pretty highly unlikely, which is unfortunate because of how well this team was playing. We're going to see them all play today, all four of those teams you mentioned, and, we'll see. But they are not in the same category as those other teams with those two guys out because, their depth isn't the same either.
Let's bring you to the bubble, and it's an Indiana team that a couple weeks ago wanted to make a strong case for March Madness, and now it seems as though the Indiana team who lost Northwestern by 13 points at 18-14 may not get in at all. Was that the final nail in the coffin for Indiana's tournament hopes?
I mean, I think it has to be. I understand that the committee does not take in or factor in your last 10 games. What are your metrics in those 10 games or things like that? But they're not playing well. You lose to Northwestern that way, who got absolutely throttled by Purdue yesterday. They don't look like an NCAA tournament team right now. I think, Coach DeVries is going to go back. He's going to evaluate this season. He's going to see that they're not big enough up front. They don't have the physicality up front. And they have to reevaluate what they're doing in the transfer portal because in terms of the Big Ten, they're not in the same category as some of those other teams. So, yeah, I don't think they're in the field, and I think Coach DeVries is going to have to go back and evaluate what they are doing in the offseason to make sure that they don't miss the tournament again.
As a basketball coach, when moving to the Big 12, when you look at Arizona or Houston, do either of these teams need to win the Big 12 tournament? What is the point of winning games in your conference tournament when you're already locked into a 1 seed or a 2 seed? Do these contests really matter to these schools?
I think they do. And I get that question a lot. In 2006, I was part of the University of Florida program. We had gone, I want to say 10-6 in the SEC. That's when you only played 16 games.
Yeah.
Winning the conference tournament catapulted us to a national championship. Go to Florida's team last year. Winning the conference tournament catapulted them to winning a national championship. It gives you a feeling of confidence. It gives you a feeling of, hey, look, climbing that ladder was a lot of fun. Cutting those nets down was a lot of fun. Putting that hat on was a lot of fun. Putting the net in your hat, that's a lot of fun. Let's go do this again. So I think it helps. I think it gives you momentum. The whole extra rest, all that, sometimes it takes you out of a rhythm. And you see teams that, you'll see it today. Teams that haven't played in almost a week are going to line up and play today, and they'll be a little off. And the teams that they're playing against, they've already played 1, maybe even 2 games in the conference tournament already. So I don't buy the whole, it doesn't really help you. You're better off if you rest. If you're Duke and you can rest because you got 2 guys out with major injuries, maybe. But those other teams, no, I believe it gives you momentum going into the conference tournament.
Field of 68, Sirius XM, CBS Sports HQ, NBC Sports, all of them. Matt McCall joining the Drake Toll Show. Matt, before we get you out of here, the Big 12 Conference's court debacle, they put a TV down instead of a basketball court, has completely blown up in the league's face. How colossal of a failure is this as they move to a wooden court for the semifinals and the finals of Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's something they did. Maybe it's a money thing. Maybe it's, they're getting more money for the conference from playing on a court like that, but it hasn't been great. It's gotten a lot of negative feedback from players, from coaches, from fans. So, yeah, a little bit of a turnover, but still one of the best conferences in college basketball. We're going to see some great teams line up and play today. So, court aside, the product out there on the floor has been phenomenal. I mean, Houston, BYU yesterday, AJ DeBonsa. how much longer do we get to watch him play college basketball? Probably not much longer. Man, has he been fun to watch, even with the injury that team suffered with Robert Wright. So, court aside, the product and the talent, man, what a conference.
Matt, last thing I got for you. If you're going to pick in your Nostradamus fortune-telling one mid-major to make a Sweet 16 run, who is that team right now?
Oof. It's a good question. I'm dialed in on the Atlantic 10 tournament. I'm in studio today for the A10. So St. Louis, VCU, those two teams I'm keeping an eye on. I think they can both win a game in the NCAA tournament. Don't sleep on Northern Iowa. Their coach has already been there multiple times, so he knows what goes into it. And, but again, the talent level at the Power Fives, it's like we haven't seen in a long, long time. But St. Louis, Robbie Avila, the 5-man with the rec specs, coming down, trailing the play, shooting threes. Give me the Billikens.
Love it. Matt McCall, thanks so much for your time on the Drake Toll Show, giving us perspective going into March Madness.
I appreciate you guys. Anytime.
You can find more of Matt's work on Twitter every single day. Field of 68, NBC, CBS Sports HQ, at Coach Matt McCall on social media, at Coach Matt McCall. Yeah, by St. Louis. Only problem with St. Louis to me is that I think they'll be seated in maybe the 9 or 10 spot, and it's a little bit tougher to garner the love of America from the 9 spot, even the 10 spot. You need to be an 11 or deeper. And a lot of times the 11 are power conference teams. So you need to be a 12, 13, 14 seed or deeper to be able to be the true Cinderella going to the Sweet 16. 10 seed in the Sweet 16, seen it before. Hopefully, I don't want to will them to be underseeded, but it would help their Cinderella run after knocking off, say, a North Carolina in the round of 64. Stu Kovacs produces. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. When we come back, time for Idiot of the Day. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is
gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning, death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah. darkness world stops turning. Ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power. And as God has struck the hour, day of judgment God is calling. On the knees the war pigs crawling, begging.
It is the Drake Toll Show.
Looking over my shoulder.
Westwood One Sports.
I'm back in town.
The Westwood One Sports app.
I think I've gotten bolder. Looking over my shoulder, making sure she ain't around.
John R. Miller brings us back. Stu Kovacs, Curtis Poindexter. Got a push notification from Instagram. Hezbollah is live. What does that mean?
You know who Hezbollah is?
Is that the terrorist organization?
No, that's Hezbollah. Close.
And the difference is, please?
Hezbollah is that adult that's still child size, the Russian guy that's like a child still, physically.
Oh, yeah.
It's in all the fights with all the
Okay. Yeah, he's the guy who's from like Slovakia or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Huh. Okay.
Not to be confused with Hezbollah.
Yeah. Do you want to know something that I think is very funny as we go into idiot of the day? Can I tell you? Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do it. It's time for our idiot of the day.
Idiot of the day.
Idiot of the day number 1 is Stu Kovacs. Sorry, Stu. You have earned this illustrious award for being now subject to Slap and Tickle, which is the song that's playing right now. Any final words, Stu?
No, I'm just glad. I thought it was something I did wrong, so I'm kind of glad it is that. That is the reason.
It is, Stu. It is something you did wrong. Every choice you made in life.
You said yes to this show. That's what you did wrong.
When you were 9 years old, you had the choice between a peanut butter and jelly or a ham sandwich. And you thought, I could really go for a ham sandwich warmed up in the microwave, little mayonnaise, little mustard, some Doritos sprinkled in there. Ooh. You chose the ham sandwich. And damn it, Stu, you chose wrong. Had you chosen peanut butter and jelly, yep, you would have been even more of a millionaire than you are right now. And you would not be subject to Stab and Tickle, the Idiot of the Day song. So our first Idiot of the Day is Stu Kovacs. Sorry, Stu. Our second Idiot of the Day, this is bad. This is so bad, man. Like, I was a PR major in college at Baylor University. Curtis?
Why would I be talking about Baylor?
And when I was a PR major at Baylor University, I had to learn how to handle crisis. I had to learn how to handle keeping a company in the good graces of the public. I had to learn how to make sure that in tumultuous times of woe and want, that my brand looks good. That is not the case in the Big 12. Because remember, they're taking the TV that is on the basketball floor and they are removing it and putting a traditional court down so that the players can actually play. And the Big 12 has taken nothing but heat. The Big 12 has taken nothing but dissent on this subject. And so what do they do? What do they post, Stu, 9 hours ago, 10 p.m. last night? A graphic this is before they decided to nix the court altogether. They posted a graphic from Kingston Flemings, the star guard for Houston. And it says, both teams, this is a quote from Fleming's, both teams have to play on the floor. So, I mean, it wasn't the floor's fault that one team won, one team lost. It was all about the players. Honestly, I think the floor is pretty cool. The pregame was pretty cool. At halftime, we watched the last game. It was pretty cool. I mean, just trying to do what we can to get the win. So the Big 12 said, oh, you're all mad about the court, huh? Well, here is basketball players saying court okay. Stu, 4 hours later, after that graphic was posted, the Big 12 decided to rescind its court in total and move in a traditional basketball court. That is cause for being our first idiot of the day, the Big 12 Conference, for trying to save face with a graphic saying, hey, you guys need to understand, please. Don't be mad at us. A player, the player, a guy likes the court. So suck it. To which now the conference was forced into removing the court altogether. They will play on hardwood instead of television for the semifinals and finals of the Big 12 tournament. Stupid. Incredibly stupid. Idiot of the day, Mark DeRosa. I think he's been the idiot of the day almost every week. Almost every day this week, I should say. He's almost a perennial idiot of the week now for the Drake Toll Show.
We give Aaron Glenn a rest.
Yes, that's Aaron Glenn gets a break today. For my father, who's never heard of Mark DeRosa before, good morning, Papa. The reason he's an idiot of the day is because you, Dad, my father was an assistant coach of a travel girls softball team. My sister. She is now a scholarship athlete at Baylor. And my dad would have known that, hey, we have to win this game to get out of pool play. We have to win this game to be the 1 seed. We have to win this game for whatever reason. And why would he have known? Because every good assistant travel softball coach knows their surroundings. Mark DeRosa did not know that the USA had to beat Italy to lock its spot into the quarterfinals at the World Baseball Classic. He didn't know that. He said there was a miscalculation. They thought they could lose. Effectively thought they could lose, and they were in. Now he had to walk those comments back because he looked like a big idiot. And he's doubling down to say that he knows the rules, guys. Stop saying I didn't know the rules. Here is Mark DeRosa.
They played a hell of a game. They smacked us in the mouth early. They got up big. We went into that game prepared to win it. I think there's a couple false narratives out there, but no, I was well aware that we had to win that game based on all the scenarios that could take place. I mean, they went in 2-0, we went in 2-0. We knew they were playing Mexico the next day. We knew there was tiebreaker rules involved.
Yeah, that's what I'd say too, if I didn't know what was going on. We knew it, guys. Stop, okay? Come on. It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Our idiots of the day today. As Curtis Poindexter runs the board, Stu Kovacs produces. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization. Locked on Big 12. Bruce Pearl. Idiot of the day. He was the guy that said Miami of Ohio should not get in. They don't deserve to. He was the analyst on national television who said, oh, you guys think it's nepotism that I gave my son the Auburn job? Well, it is. Oh, you guys think it's nepotism that I think Auburn should make the NCAA tournament over Miami of Ohio? Well, it is. I've always subscribed to the fact that you do the job that is asked of you, required of you, by your paycheck. If I'm being paid by CBS or TNT to be an analyst to cover all of college basketball, hello, Bruce Pearl, I would not be a propagandist for Auburn and my son, who's the head coach. We've had plenty of analysts who had brothers, sons, fathers who were coaches who have not been so weird. Bruce Pearl has been weird. John Rothstein tweets, we have a bid Steeler out of the MAC. Frank Martin and UMass stun Miami of Ohio and Cleveland. Bruce Pearl quote tweets this. In spite of the recent propaganda, I've always been a mid-major guy. Propaganda my ass. What are you talking about? That's not propaganda. We're just using your words. You're the one who said Miami of Ohio should not get in over Auburn because of your son. Oh, well, people have been, spewing a lot of propaganda against me. No, dog, you did the propaganda yourself. Is the propagandist in the room with us as we speak? We are all trying to find the guy who did this. What, Curtis?
It just sounds familiar, that's all.
Yeah. He says, I think one loss Miami of Ohio should get in. Oh, now Bruce Pearl's changed his tune? I don't think they're one of the best 37 at-large teams, but are one of the most deserving. Good for the MAC, Cinderella, and March Madness. I think if Bruce Pearl deleted Twitter and just didn't talk into a microphone for a week, America would probably be better off for it right now. And he's pulling what Dan Orlovsky did a month ago. Dan had a string of terrible takes. And instead of just wearing them, he tried to walk them all back and cry and say that Twitter is a cesspool and a terrible place that will eat you alive. One thing I love about Ryan Clark, he knows he has bad takes. He knows he's saying he'd rather have Kyler Murray than Lamar Jackson leading his football team, and that Kyler Murray has a better shot at winning a Super Bowl than Lamar Jackson. Ryan Clark can say those things, and he'll never apologize. He'll never walk it back. Why? Because he's great at PR. You're talking about him. You're talking about his takes, about how bad they are. And you continue to watch to see what asinine thing Ryan Clark will say next. And I don't hate that strategy, because people pay attention to it. They watch Skip Bayless. They watch Stephen A. They don't watch for ball knowledge. They watch for loud and funny. And that would be the case for a Bruce Pearl or Dan Orlovsky, but they continue to be crybabies about this whole thing. Like, grow up, please. Here is another idiot of the day that you did not expect. Woj. Adrian Wojnarowski planted a story at ESPN to cover up his firing of Coach Mark Schmidt. This comes from Awful Announcing. The same types of rumors that plagued Adrian Wojnarowski during his tenure at Yahoo Sports and ESPN have followed him. He retired as the NBA insider and has become the general manager of the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure, and they have sucked. Earlier this week, they fired longtime head coach Mark Schmidt. Well, he retired. Come on. Woj issued a statement praising Schmidt's tenure, and one columnist says reporting on his role in the move was understated. A new column shows that Wojnarowski did Schmidt dirty. He disguised Schmidt's firing as retirement, and Woj is now being accused of planting a false narrative with ESPN. So Woj calls his buddies at ESPN and allegedly says, hey, our coach is retiring. But it sounds like Woj actually fired him and just didn't want St. Bonaventure to have the whole we fired a guy. Again, lesson in PR. If you lie to ESPN, if you lie to the public, it will probably come back and blow up in your face, as it is in this scenario for Adrian Wojnarowski. Mark Cuban, idiot of the day. He overruled fellow executives that wanted Giannis Antetokounmpo, but traded up for cap space and a guy you've never heard of. Cuban says his biggest miss as an owner was passing on Giannis in 2013. Yeah, no, that's a pretty good miss. That's a pretty big whiff. Cuban overruled fellow executives. He didn't want Giannis, and in the end, Giannis became Giannis, and the Mavs are now known as the team that dumped Luka Doncic to the Lakers and then fired the GM that did so. Tumultuous couple of years in Dallas, and it's got to sting even more to hear your owner, Mark Cuban, who's like kind of an owner still. Every other week it changes what Mark Cuban is doing exactly with the Mavericks. But Cuban just admitted to the world, hey, you thought it was bad now? We could have had Giannis, and I told them not to draft Giannis. And then our final idiot of the day. I've never heard of Brett Haber, but yesterday for the first time I did. He is a dad, a husband, a dog pappy, and a Tennis Channel commentator. He was doing play-by-play on tennis yesterday, 2 days ago. And Miles David tweets, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina has lost 13 ATP Tour matches after being up match point against his opponent. So Miles Davis just tweets that about tennis. Brett Haber responds, curious, where'd you get that stat? Miles says, well, Brett, you brought it up during the televised broadcast on the Tennis Channel. Does that help cure your curiosity? Brett responds, might be nice to cite your source. The research doesn't do itself. Miles quips back, I'll keep that in mind next time I'm casually watching something on TV and decide to share what stuck out to me from the coverage, just like the other hundreds of thousands of people who probably heard the same thing. And yeah, with Miles here, just because John Sciambi says a stat about the Big 12 tournament doesn't need to be, I need to tweet that John Sciambi said this. Now I can find that stat's public, very public. And then Brett Haber says, your snarky reply aside, your initial post made it seem like it was a fact you personally discovered. Common courtesy to credit the source. Unless courtesy's not your thing. And the argument ended when Miles Davis said, why put snarkiness aside when that's what started this interaction? I didn't make it seem like that. I didn't credit it as something only I discovered. Furthermore, did you yourself crunch the numbers on that? If so, congratulations. If not, why the fuss? Twitter largely siding with this Miles Davis guy over the play-by-play commentator who's mad that someone tweeted out a stat that he read on the air. We're at war right now. There are more things to be mad at than someone reading your stat, tweeting your stat after you read it on the air. Grow up.
Oh,
Coming up,
this guy
Matthew
stinks.
Collins, Purple Insider. All things Kyler to the Vikings. Is this a move to compete or a move to burn a year for cheap? This is the Drake Toll Show.
Go on trial just for laughing at the joke, just for saying of the bargain what any sales girl already knows. Most of us old men die at the firing line, just waiting for our number to be called. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Now the king regales his stepson when he's loaded as a gun. Says a real man is like a country. You need a map to find your one. Now I do you suppose you must approach the throne with its back up against the wall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Minds of my generation, glad they conscripted in the war of defending any Goliath that would deign darken the door. Now with your genius for picking battles, it's no wonder every helmet is too small. I guess time just makes fools of us all. I guess time just makes fools of us all. My drink is watered down. The champ is on his knees. He lost the rematch. He lost the comeback. He lost for charity, but that's the job. It's what gets the asses in the hall. They came for a beating, and he came to brawl. serve your client notice that of all the young gods I have known, yours is easily the least famous to turn down the cover of a Rolling Stone. Lily white faces, so familiar and yet impossible to recall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. After a millennia of good times, God said, hey now, let's have a dream where we raise the stakes a little. Come on, let's make things interesting. Parachute into the Anthropocene, an amnesiac, a himbo Kendall. I guess time does make fools of us all.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Nick Costos, You Better You Bet, will follow Blake and Abdallah after that, and the Jim Rome, 3 to 6 p.m. today on Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Stu Kovacs produces today in place of Addie Bates, who is in New Orleans, and one can only guess. The FCC does not want me to divulge the debauchery on St. Patrick's Day weekend occurring in New Orleans right now. Matthew Collar, Vikings insider, joins the Drake Toll Show, someone who's been a Vikings insider for a long time and covers them with Purple Insider. And Matthew, I remember vividly first following your work centering around Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. And now on March 13th of 2026, Kyler Murray is the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. Can you give me the pulse of Minneapolis, of St. Paul, of just Vikings fandom right now around this move? Is it excitement?
Yeah, I think that there is a degree of excitement for it, but there's also kind of a little disappointment as well, just with how things went for J.J. McCarthy. I mean, you mentioned Kirk Cousins. This is a fan base that has really been whipped around over the years. I mean, if you've been following this team for a long time and you go back to Randall Cunningham and Jeff George, and then thinking you've got a franchise quarterback in Dante Culpepper and his knee getting hurt, and on and on and on, Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Bradford and Case Keenum. And I mean, the list just goes on. And then Sam Darnold for a year wins 14 games and they let him go because they thought they had their young franchise quarterback, which the fans have been looking for a very, very long time. And last year, J.J. McCarthy just struggled to the point where they had to find someone else that was capable of starting and winning, because when you look at the rest of the team, they still were able to win 9 games despite having some of the worst overall quarterback play in the entire NFL. So despite how badly the fans and the franchise wanted J.J. McCarthy to be that guy, it didn't happen, and they had to act, and I think they really kind of fell backwards into somebody this talented as Kyler Murray. I mean, he may have not recently had some of the performances as early in his career, but he's been to a couple Pro Bowls. He's been voted, in the Athletic Mike Sandoz article every year with the quarterback tiers as a top 15 quarterback routinely. And that's not even something you expect to get in free agency, much less to have somebody else foot the bill. So I think the ceiling for Kyler Murray is pretty high, and the way that he plays, everybody knows, is a very exciting player, and it'll be maybe interesting to see Justin Jefferson come alive again after it was such a struggle to get him the ball, last year. But there is kind of a feeling of, well, the thing that was supposed to change everything with J.J. McCarthy didn't work. So what else were you going to do other than get the best option available?
Matthew, my favorite part of this entire move is that $35 million will be paid by the Arizona Cardinals and $1 million paid by the Minnesota Vikings. So you get a quarterback that somebody else is paying for, that the Cardinals are paying Kyler to not play for them, and a quarterback who has shown flashes of an incredibly high ceiling during his NFL career. What is it about that price tag, about the $1.3 million that the Vikings will ship off for Kyler and the money they saved, that opens up what the Purple can do this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, they were in a pretty darn difficult spot. They started the offseason about $45 million over the cap, and they have not been able to do almost anything in free agency while they've been in this holding pattern waiting to get the quarterback position resolved, because you can't go out and spend whatever it would have cost to bring Kirk Cousins back or sign Aaron Rodgers or whoever else. Malik Willis may have been in the mix there, or the trade that the Jets made. You can't do stuff like that when you don't have any cap space. So, I mean, it did work out just about perfectly. And even the people who are skeptical of whether Kyler Murray can be as good as he was early in his career, or whether he can fit with their offense, or whatever other, critiques might be out there, it's really hard to argue with a price that is 6 times less than Kenny Pickett is going to get to be a backup quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, that really is huge for them, because last offseason they were the free agent darlings. They were the team that spent, and they've also kept a lot of their core as well. They reworked T.J. Hawkinson's contract. They brought back Aaron Jones when we all thought that he was going to be cut. So they believe that this team that they've put together, and the team that they mostly had last year, was good enough to win. And they proved that by still, having a winning record. But if they had better quarterback play, or what Kevin O'Connell told us at the NFL Combine, baseline quarterback play was what he used, that they believe that they could be a really good team. And I think when you look around the NFC North, every team has an argument for being really good, and every team has an argument for being flawed. And so I think that the Vikings with Kyler Murray look at it as, if he does meet that baseline and he's an above average quarterback, I don't think he has to be the next Fran Tarkenton. I think he just has to be decent and good and be able to deliver the ball to Justin Jefferson. They have a defense that's strong enough, a defensive coordinator that's strong enough, and weapons that are strong enough to at least have them right in the conversation with the Lions, the Packers, and Bears.
Matthew Collar joining the Drake Toll Show from Purple Insider. You can find more of his work at Matthew Collar on Twitter every single day. Matthew, I want to get in the mind of Kyler Murray for a second. He could have taken $1.3 million from a lot of different franchises to go be a one-year guy, or work his way into being a 3, 4, 5-year guy and ultimately a franchise quarterback. Why do you think it was Minnesota for Kyler and his camp that made the most sense?
Well, I think that conversation starts with a guy who wears number 18. I mean, Justin Jefferson is as good as any wide receiver in the NFL. And, maybe people forgot because of last year, as J.J. McCarthy was flying balls over his head. But, even when Carson Wentz was in there, Justin Jefferson was putting up over 100 yards every game. So this is somebody who can do just about anything. I mean, underneath, deep, over the top, best ball tracker, I think, in the entire NFL. I mean, he had more yards through 5 years in his career than anyone else in NFL history. I mean, this is a really, truly special human being. So that it begins there. But I also think that Kevin O'Connell is a big part of this. And Kyler Murray said yesterday that he first met Kevin O'Connell back when he was doing Elite 11 high school stuff. So they have at least known each other and met each other. And also, I think O'Connell maybe had his reputation as the QB whisperer knocked down a bit after what happened last year. I think that was a lot more J.J. McCarthy just not being ready to play in the NFL yet. But when you look at the coaching style of Kevin O'Connell, he's an incredible communicator. He believes in his quarterbacks. And the guy was the offensive coordinator for Sean McVay when they won the Super Bowl in Los Angeles in 2021. He is a great offensive mind, a great passing mind. And I think that's somebody that Kyler Murray can click with. And there are the questions, and there will continue to be, about Kyler Murray's personality and how he's going to fit in an offense and that sort of stuff. Well, I think we saw from even when Kirk Cousins took another step under Kevin O'Connell, and then the way that Sam Darnold clicked here, that he has an ability to really connect with his quarterbacks. I mean, I think you do have to meet a baseline for sure of technical ability to throw the ball, which we know Kyler Murray can do. But I think that in terms of that person-to-person relationship, Kevin O'Connell is the perfect person for Kyler Murray to work with.
$1.3 million and a PlayStation. I'm being told that was an addendum in the contract that Kyler Murray signed on to this week with the Vikings. Look, I think, Matthew, if I may interject, that Kyler's the off-the-field issue, the question marks, is he a leader? Is he playing too many video games? Is this Call of Duty thing really a concern? I think it's become overblown, and it is not something that I'm genuinely concerned about with him and Kevin O'Connell pairing up with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. If there's one thing I am concerned about, it is the headspace of J.J. McCarthy. 2 months ago, it was Keon Coleman. He was the loneliest man in the world, as the entire country talked about Keon Coleman, and for no good reason, because of what Brandon Beane and Terry Pegula said in a press conference. And today, it's J.J. McCarthy. He is probably the loneliest guy in the NFL, as America talks about how he couldn't get it done, and the Vikings might be looking at a possible franchise quarterback option if Kyler plays really well in his first year in Minnesota. What is the future of J.J. McCarthy, the loneliest man in the world today?
Yeah, I know. I mean, one thing is that with quarterbacks, we never really know, right? I mean, Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl, and his own team that he won 14 games with, in 2024, let him go. So that it's an unpredictable position, that's for sure. But, I think that J.J. McCarthy has had it about as difficult as anybody coming into the league recently, not with supporting cast or coaching, where he's had it really good, but in terms of coming into the league and then getting injured right away and not getting that time to develop. And then he comes back after missing the entire year, and then he takes over a team that had won 14 games with a lot of veterans, one of the oldest teams in the NFL, sky-high expectations. And then after he has a really good start to his career with a comeback win against a Bears team that turned out to be pretty good, then he gets hurt again and misses 5 weeks, right? I mean, he got set behind so much. And then when he comes back, it's, hey, be the franchise quarterback, take on the entire offense, and deal with the emotional ups and downs. I think that playing pro sports now is harder than it's ever been, because after every single game, you turn on the TV, you open up your phone. I mean, like, you could say, J.J. McCarthy, just don't look at your phone, but we're talking about a 22-year-old here, right? He's going to know what everyone's saying. You get hit with a ton of bricks after every single bad game, and then, I thought that, I mean, the world is pretty mean, right? Like you mentioned with the Kyler Murray and jokes and stuff like that, as if, something you did as a kid maybe is going to still be something you do at 28 or 29. Well, the same with, J.J. McCarthy, I think, was exuberant at times and got memed and made fun of and picked on and everything else. I think it was really emotionally challenging for him last year. I actually think the best possible thing for him, as we've seen from many quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, to have a year of watching somebody else play quarterback for this team and then reassess. I think that's the best thing for him. It's going to be really difficult to do that after you were declared the guy, the franchise quarterback, all that sort of stuff. But I also think it's his best opportunity to truly be healthy for a year, develop. And with the way quarterbacks get hurt, I wouldn't be shocked if we still end up seeing him on the field for the Vikings.
Matthew Collar joining the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. That was, by the way, for the listeners, our 300 affiliates, that was free for you, what Matthew just gave you there, in the perspective of human beings are involved in this, Kyler Murray being one of them, J.J. McCarthy being one of them, and the human brain is involved in this process as well for guys that are going through a lot, hearing a lot today, opening social media and seeing their name only slandered. That's a lot to face. McCarthy's facing it now. Matthew, before we let you go, and incredibly grateful for you waking up so early, being here with us at 7:33 Central Time. This draft for the Vikings, if you're strapped in free agency still to a bit, if you're still hampered to a bit, and the spending can't be immense, where do you go draft-wise? What is the strategy, namely in round one?
Yeah, it's a great question because, well, one, there's still rumors out there that they could trade Jonathan Grenard. I think now that you've signed Kyler Murray, that doesn't make much sense to me because you're trying to win the division, and Jonathan Grenard's good at football. I know it's more complicated than that, but I guess now I'd be a little surprised if they did. If they do not trade Jonathan Grenard, there's several openings on this team that they need an immediate starter. Safety comes to mind. We don't know yet if Harrison Smith is going to return. They lost 2 defensive tackles that they had to release due to their cap situation, even though they brought back Aaron Jones. Running back, I don't think Jeremiah Love is going to get to them, but still, I mean, you could make an argument for a lot of positions. Even wide receiver, they lost one of their key receivers in Jalen Naylor, and TJ Hawkinson is going to be a free agent after this year. And I mean, if you've watched any Kenyon Sadiq highlights, you can get pretty excited about that idea too. So I think they are in a position where they could move down, get more draft capital, or in a position where you could look all over the field. But I mean, you're right. They have not made huge plays in free agency. So I think they're open to probably taking the best player that ends up on the board.
Grateful for your perspective, Matthew Collar. Find him at Matthew Collar on Twitter every day, posting about the Vikings and with Purple Insider. Thanks so much for your time today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff. Again, free for you on the Drake Toll Show, Sirius XM, local affiliates across the country, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. You didn't have to pay for that. Matthew Collar gave that to you, and now you're a ball knower. 2 mentions of Kenyon Sadiq, by the way. Is he a Baltimore Raven? Does that bolster what the Ravens are doing? Is he a Minnesota Viking? Does it give another weapon to Kyler Murray, one of the toughest quarterbacks in America to tackle? Good question. Astute pregunta, if you will. When we return, the World Baseball Classic tonight. Miami of Ohio, can they still get into March Madness? The World Baseball Classic tonight, Team USA. Oh, hey. Don't forget this part. Don't forget this piece. Don't miss this. Kyler's a Viking. What are my thoughts on this? Is this a move to compete or a move for just another year of hoping he stays healthy? I've got the answer. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Bomba-dee-da, 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 until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on till then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and think about sunny weather. 2, 3, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Some trails are happy ones, other trails are blue. It's the way you ride that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you till we meet
Touch yourself. Touch yourself. It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Curtis Poindexter produces. Stu Kovacs runs the board. Now what, huh? Didn't see that coming, did you? They switched. It is Friday, March 13th. We're on the cusp of March Madness. When I return to you on Monday, we will have a bracket. We will know who's the field of 16. We will know who will play Tuesday night, Wednesday night in the play-in tournament. And they play in Dayton, Ohio, usually. I can only assume. No one's told me they're not playing in Dayton, Ohio this year, so I assume that's the case. And if you're like, oh, I'm not a basketball guy. Oh, so you didn't watch Bam Adebayo score 83 points? You don't remember where you were? Went on FanDuel TV, SNU Network Plus. Bam Adebayo scored 83. You're not a basketball guy. You didn't watch Luka drop 50 last night. You're not a basketball guy. You didn't watch Miami of Ohio lose to UMass. That's fine. That's fine. If you're not a basketball guy, could I interest you in some real estate in the baseball realm? World Baseball Classic tonight. The United States of America, who I am rooting for, will play Canada in this World Baseball Classic to see who's better at baseball. Hint, it's the United States of America. If the U.S. wins that game, they will likely play. I'm going to assume they will play on Sunday night against Dominican Republic. I think the Dominican Republic will beat Korea. And I don't know if you've seen the roster. Albert Abreu, Sandy Alcantara, the Sir Anthony Dominguez. I was sitting last night with Jose Benitez, who is the Spanish broadcaster of Banana Ball. And he was taking me through this Dominican Republic team. Austin Wells is also in there too, which I find very funny. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Carlos Santana, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, O'Neal Cruz, Fernando Tatis Jr., and they're all managed by Albert Pujols. It's completely unfair. Listen to those names again. Fernando Tatis Jr., O'Neal Cruz, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto. They have Perdomo. They have Santana, Machado, Marte. That's stupid. Junior Caminero, Austin Wells, which is, again, just super funny that Austin Wells is like the only U.S.-born player on the entire team. Uribe, they've just... Severino, like I don't understand how the Dominican Republic is not the favorite to win this. I guess I should understand because Shohei Ohtani exists. And anytime Shohei Ohtani exists, Japan, we're all over it. But man, the Dominican Republic, blah. How are you supposed to compete with that? Tonight, the U.S. plays Canada, a team full of plumbers and mailmen. And hopefully they actually try to win this game. That would be awesome. Hopefully they understand that they need to win tonight for them to advance in the tournament. The U.S. is plus 125 to win it all. Dominican Republic is plus 175, by the way. This is not a betting show. I'm not a betting guy like that. But if I was, I would have a lot of my money on the Dominican Republic. Japan's in third right now. They're the third favorite. But I think the court of public opinion would tell you that Japan is their favorite to win this because of the name Shohei Ohtani. And as much as I say I'm not a gambling guy, I did lose $50 on a parlay last night. Damn it. I'll make it back up today. Kyler Murray to Minnesota. These are let's hit the big stories to end this thing. J.J. McCarthy will now live in the shadow of Kyler Murray. Sorry. And this is a move to contend. When Kyler's at his best, and I'm not sure if he can get there, if he'll be there with the Vikings, but if he is, it's a big if, but if he is, if he's healthy, and he's playing, and he's reached his ceilings, playing back toward his ceiling like he did with D-Hop in his early years with the Cardinals, then, yeah, man, Minnesota can compete. Minnesota can contend. We just heard about their issues from a cap space standpoint. They can't go land some big free agents. They can't take on a ton of money. But you saved a good bit with your quarterback, and now drafting in the middle of the first round, you can bolster your offense with another weapon for Kyler Murray. Or you can bolster your defense with another edge rusher. Romello Height, if he's there, I'm grabbing him at 18. Kyler's officially a Viking. Kevin O'Connell got his guy. Can the quarterback whisperer do what he did with Sam Darnold, turn everything around and win games with Kyler Murray? It's a big question. Maybe my favorite question today, though, is whether or not how is Miami of Ohio the number one story of the day? How is it right up there with Kyler Murray? Well, it's because this team's 31-1. Yet some people want to keep them out of March Madness because the strength of schedule is not good. They didn't play anybody. And they just lost to the great, legendary Frank Martin and UMass. Yes, the same Frank Martin that took South Carolina to the Final Four. It was a really weird Final Four year, too. I think Syracuse was there as a 10 seed, maybe. South Carolina being there. Who was there? They had the one guard that America fell in love with. I'll have to Google it. South Carolina's Frank Martin, the UMass head coach, knocks off Miami of Ohio, and now we all wonder, will Auburn or Texas or Indiana make March Madness instead of Miami of Ohio, who is 31-1? I think it's a silly question. I think the Red Hawks have done plenty enough to get in. And earlier in this show, and now our number one moment of the Drake Toll Show this week, college basketball expert, analyst, former head coach at UMass, Matt McCall, joined the program to say, man, it's tough to be a mid-major school, but Miami of Ohio, they should be in.
You know, it's interesting because for me, I actually thought when they got to the conference tournament, they would just cut it loose and not feel the same amount of pressure that they felt in the regular season, because we saw all those close games they were playing at the end of the regular season, and it was opposite. Well, I shouldn't say it was the opposite, because they had an 8-point lead in the second half, and it's almost like they took a breath and said, we're good, we're okay. And UMass took advantage of that. UMass's size and physicality up front caused them some serious problems. So from that standpoint, I do still think they should be in the field. 31-0, undefeated in the regular season. They should be in the field. But if they run into a team that's big and physical up front, they're going to have some issues because UMass dominated up front. They dominated the points in the paint. They scored over 50 points in the paint, and that caused this team a lot of problems. So they got to sweat it out a little bit. I do still think they should be in the field. What a matchup it would be if we could get Miami of Ohio versus Auburn in Dayton, win, and you get to the main dance.
Yeah, that would be the storylines that would surround that one, the Pearl family versus Miami of Ohio as the Red Hawks march toward possible glory. For UMass, I think a lot of people have looked at the UMass win here, a place that you coached, and they haven't given the credit to UMass. The story has been pointed to specifically Miami of Ohio. Give me context on where UMass is as a program, and a win like this, does that bolster you, or is this just a blip on the map for the Minutemen?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a huge win for Frank Martin for his program. A guy that took South Carolina to the Final Four back in 2016 or 2017. So obviously being able to, respond from that and win today to get to a conference tournament final would be huge for the program. I mean, it's a big deal. Leaving the Atlantic 10, going to the MAC. I mean, it's a head scratcher at times. I understand, from a standpoint of trying to get football going, which has been a huge struggle for the university. So it's great. It's great for the program. It's great for Frank Martin. As look, it's a hard job. I mean, it is a hard job. And really, when you look at it, there's been one guy that has sustained success there. That's the guy that's calling the ball plays for the Arkansas Razorbacks right now.
Yep.
So, you'd hope a win like this can get it going in the right direction.
Pretty cool to hear from the guy who coached the UMass Minutemen, Matt McCall, on the Drake Toll Show today, the number one moment of the week on this program, saying UMass is a tough place to win. The only guy to ever do it is John Calipari. That's a pretty good guy to do it, by the way. Miami of Ohio falls to UMass 87-83, and that does it on the conference tournament run, or lack thereof. Walk, crawl, whatever you want to dub this, for Miami of Ohio, who loses to a team that was 7-11 in MAC play. Miami of Ohio was 18-0 in the regular season. Do you value the conference tournament, or do you value the regular season? That is the question. And today, elite college basketball on the docket. Wisconsin, Illinois, Kentucky, Florida could be fun. Purdue, Nebraska. I think Purdue will blow the brakes off of Nebraska. Iowa, Iowa State, number 7 team in the country versus number 2, Arizona. Oh, and staying in the Big 12, Kansas and Houston. Darren Peterson. Can he prove to be healthy enough, willing to play enough, to make Kansas a contender in March Madness? And can KU work their way to the 3 seed, to the 3 line? Can Houston work its way to the 1 line? We're watching a lot for seeding today. And Clemson could upset Duke in the semifinal and give Duke what it needs most, and that is rest. They are beat up. They are banged up in the World Baseball Classic tonight. The U.S. takes on Canada. Kyler Murray's a Viking. What else did you need? Max Crosby trade fell through. This week was one of the weeks of all time. Coming up, it is You Better You Bet with Nick Costos, followed by Bleck and Abdallah, Jim Rome, and the Jim Rome Show from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Stu Kovacs produces in place of Addie Bates, who will return Monday. Great job. Thanks, Stu. It is Curtis Poindexter running the board. Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. To Colin Jones, Bruce Gilbert, Armin Williams, thank you for giving me a job. I'll see you Monday at 6 a.m., folks. This has been, it always will be, The Drake Toll Show.